But it's nice to see you all. And I thought I would use that poem that I wrote some time ago about Rudy, or my reaction to my connection with him. What is the value of the connection in your eyes? I mean, it's in your experience. I mean, for me, I need to occasionally say something about Rudy, because it's always, my connection with him is always, always, always present. Although I don't think of my connection with him as anything other than an energy connection, and a deeply human connection. And I'm very grateful for it. And I feel the presence of that in my life every day, no matter what I'm doing. But it has become a basic underlying presence in my life, which is a door opener into that which is beyond the beyond, or which is connection with the infinite. I mean, that's obviously where he is. He's in the infinite. He's a vibration. He left the vibration, at least for me, strong enough, powerful enough to remain that gateway. And I think he did that for a lot of other people as well. So I'll read the poem to you. The poem, it's called The Living Light. And it says, "From where I sit, nothing appears not to be touched by the loving grace of my Guru's heart. The living light of his open gaze still colors all I see and sets me free in the glow of it." So, what it means is that the vibration that he left behind is one that is still glowing with some liberating force, at least for me and for many others. And that's really the main thing in life, What are we going to leave behind? Not in terms of anything except the vibration. What vibration are you leaving behind? And of course, at my age, that becomes more acute. You reflect on it more, maybe. At least I know I reflect on it more now than I did in earlier periods of my life. But it's always equally important. I know when I first found out that Rudy had passed away, I was on the subway in New York City on the way from my teaching job up in Harlem, and I met somebody else from the ashram, and he said, "Oh, did you hear what happened to Rudy?" Because Rudy had gone, we all knew, on a little airplane ride from New York City, outside New York City, up to upstate New York. And I said, "No, what happened?" And he said, "Well, the plane crashed. And we know that one person passed away, but we don't know who it is. There were 4 people on the plane." So I went, off the train, and I went into Rudy's store with his mother, and there were 1 or 2 other people in there that didn't know anything yet. She was calling everybody, up there where he was known to have crashed, trying to find out what happened, who was passed away, who was alive. And so finally, after a lot of time went by, she found out, we found out it was Rudy, who had been thrown out of the plane, little 4-seater plane, and he passed away there on the mountainside up in the Catskills. And interestingly enough, he had told us all that he was leaving. But we thought he was going to Europe on the trip, so we thought it had to do with that. At least I did. But, and he had also said that, I'm going to leave this world with my heart exploding. And in this case, he meant maybe when he said it, that his heart would explode the way it does in open eyes class sometimes. But it exploded literally from the impact. And that's what killed him. So of course this was, really a major, major shock to everyone who was connected at the time. We couldn't really believe it. But I know I felt, of course, some disquiet. I was upset by it on one level, but on the other level, I felt just such a gratitude because he was, for me at least, primarily energy. He was also a human being, who I cared for a lot. But he was mostly energy, and I could feel in myself, he hadn't gone anywhere. He had not gone anywhere. Because, he was alive in my heart, he was alive in many other people's hearts. For me, that's what he left behind. And our trips to India, many, many times, we went to India, and there, the whole experience had mostly to do with Nityananda, Bhagavan Nityananda. And there was that very, 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 very fine, nourishing vibration that he left behind. And you could feel it, in the buildings, in the place there. One of our students who went there, she said, well, I feel like he's looking at me everywhere. When we were in the museum with all the pictures on the wall of Nityananda, he was looking at her all the time. And this is what I also experienced with Rudy in the open eyes. Even if he was looking at somebody else, it was always looking at me. Or I was very hungry for his energy. I'm just completely convinced that having this gateway through another human being who has a contact with a deeper inner state is extremely important. Is not to be attached to that person or worship that person as some personality. That's not it. But worship the energy that you feel rising in yourself as a result of the contact. At least that's what has worked for me and is working for me.